All right, hello everyone. Welcome. Perez with Branding for the People, and you're in for a real treat for my next interviewee for my interview series of introducing some of my private VIP clients that I want to share with you, all with the intention of being able to have another perspective and another point of view on the branding process. Again, branding can be confusing. It can be sort of overwhelming for some people. One of the things I wanted to do is to have you get a little bit behind the scenes from the client's perspective on what they went through, what that journey was like for them, and also how the impact it has on their business, and more importantly, for you to be able to walk away with some tips or some things to think about should you be thinking about going through the branding process. So with that being said, I want to welcome my friend and my colleague, Pamela Bruner. Pamela, say
Hi,
hello.
Reed.
Thanks
So
for making.
excited to be here.
It's so great to be here. Thanks for making time. I know you're super busy, and you obviously have a full schedule, and to block out a block of time to share your wisdom and your insights, I certainly don't take that lightly. So thank you for your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
All right, good. Well, so let me give you a proper introduction of Pamela and who she is, and I might look down a little bit just because I really want to make sure I capture really this woman's journey and who she is in the entrepreneurial world. So Pamela is a business coach. She's also an author, a speaker, and an EFT. That's an emotional freedom technique expert. After removing her own marketing fears to go from $375 per month to $1 million in less than 3 years, Pamela specializes in working with transformational entrepreneurs to build 6 and 7 figure businesses by removing their fears and their blocks around marketing and sales. She is also the co-author of Tapping into Ultimate Success book and DVD with Jack Canfield, creator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. So with that being said, let's just jump right in. And again, thank you, Pamela, for this is going to be an exciting conversation. So thanks for joining us today. So Pamela, let's just start with this, because one of the things that I like to do is kind of share with people, there's like the before and the after, right, of going through the branding process. But prior to thinking about going through a branding process, or prior to working with Branding for the People, what was your awareness or understanding of branding prior to going to that?
Mostly, I saw it as a fairly superficial thing, kind of like the way that you would pick your clothes out of the closet in the morning. It's like your brand is your colors, it's your logo. I'd gone from one look at the beginning of my business to a second look that was definitely an up level, but it still was just kind of a surface thing, and it
Okay.
wasn't deep inside. And when I met you and I heard you start talking about branding, I was like, wow, there is so much more to this than I thought there was. And that that new awareness changed everything, and it had me really desire to get a brand that was based in concept and not just in superficial colors or logos.
Oh, that's great. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Then we're going to talk a little bit more about that. We're going to expand upon it. So tell me why. Tell me why you decided to go through the branding process. And I know that there's a lot of people that you could choose from to go through this process, or even some people are on the question of like, should I do this now or should I do this later? But for you, there's got to be a business why or a personal why of why you wanted to go through the branding process.
Very much so. Because when I work with business owners that I call transformational entrepreneurs, people whose work transforms lives in the world with what they do, we often deal with strategy. We deal with marketing and the sales and the money and all that kind of stuff, but we also deal with who they're being as they're out in the world doing their business. So it's you have to transform who you are inside in order to get that external transformation and to be able to create transformation for your clients. So it seems very congruent to me, kind of parallel, for me to say, who am I as a brand? How does my brand actually reflect who I want to be? And one of the things I remember that came out of the day that we did together was I left there saying that you actually see in me a brand I need to aspire to. So it wasn't just a brand was something that was already there for me, but a brand was pulling out the best that was in me and saying, this is who you want to be in the world. And it caused me to step up into my brand rather than, like I said, just have it be a surface thing. So very, very congruent for me to look at branding from that perspective.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Now, I'll just, another angle for this question, just because there might be some people saying, well, you've been quite successful. I mean, you've generated over $1 million in business through great marketing, through great strategy, through business, and other different tools and techniques that helped you get to where you've gotten. You know, for some people, it's like, well, clearly you can be successful without branding or the kind of branding that the process that we went through. You know, is there another reason why, you know, you felt it was the right timing to go through that process, knowing that you've already been successful?
I think because it felt like branding was what would take me to the next level. And it really did. And here's why. I'm kind of airing my dirty laundry for the benefit of your viewers. The truth is that I achieved that success, but not everyone I was attracting was my ideal client.
Okay.
Now, I certainly had ideal clients I was working with, but I also had a number of people that weren't the people that I really wanted to support, who had been attracted to me for one reason or another, probably because my branding was a little off. Okay. When I got clear on my branding and my messaging, really critical thing is it's positioned me for growth. I didn't want to grow a lot until I was growing with the right people in my tribe. And now, every year since the rebrand, the people in my tribe are getting better and better and better. It's like, wow, this year, even my associate coaches are saying, gosh, the people in your group this year, we love working with them, we love coaching them, because you've really dialed it in. You've gotten great people who get your message, who know what they're about, they're great action takers. And I feel like that came from clarity on my brand, from me being clear on who I wanted to be in the world.
Gotcha. That's great, being clear. So one of the takeaways that I'll lift from that, just to highlight it for the people listening in, and if you didn't quite catch that, it's brilliant, because you can certainly grow and expand and in a business without going through the branding process, but it's almost like, and maybe I'm adding to this, or maybe it's an interpretation of what you just said, but it's kind of like you want to take a step back to really get clear on who you want to serve and who you want to target, your ideal clients. And then also, conversely, it's kind of like who are not your target clients. And you really want to communicate that such that the growth and the expansion feels aligned with where you want to go, not just growing for the sake of growing.
Yeah, it can be very heady if you've got some strategy and some tactics that are helping you make a whole lot more money. That can be a very heady experience. It's a great experience. It's like, oh, I'm being successful. What the branding can do is it can help you make sure, either identify or create that wall for you. So as you're climbing, you're really on the right wall.
Gotcha. Okay, great. All right, so now let's walk through the process and what that journey was like for you. So obviously, just so you know, part of my process, I have people kind of go through a questionnaire, and there's some pre-thinking that we do before we even meet, right? But so from your perspective, Pamela, is new for you, kind of going through a branding process. Describe what that process was like for you. There's two parts to what I'm going to say. Describe what that process was like for you. Mm-hmm. And then inside of that, some of the things for someone to think about that could help inform that creative process, if they're going through it. But let's just take it one by one and we'll see where it goes. But why don't you walk us through what that journey and what that process was like for you going through the branding?
Well, it was so interesting because I've done a lot of personal growth in addition to the business training that I've done to become a business coach. And so I'm very used to people asking me questions or being in trainings where they ask you questions to make you think deeply. I did not expect to be asked questions that would make me think deeply in a branding process. Now, why I didn't expect that, I don't know, but I didn't. And it's like, wow, this is making me think. And the more it pulled out of me, it was almost like coming home to really digging in, just like I would do with any personal development, business development process, and saying, who am I at my core? And the really cool thing about that for me is creating a brand from who you believe you are and who you want to be, as opposed to who you think you should be in order to attract some nebulous client out there. That's really cool, because what it does is it allows you to create a business that you're going to love and clients that you're going to love to serve. If you create a brand without this kind of process, if you're saying, well, I think purple and teal are the hot colors this year, so I should use them even if I don't like them, and I should use this kind of imagery even though I don't like that kind of imagery, you're going to end up creating something that you don't want to be a part of. So getting a brand that's authentic with you and that brings out the best of you, it just makes the whole business process that much more enjoyable. But it is a process to go through, really digging inside and saying, what appeals to me, and why does it appeal to me, and how does my business express that? I remember one. It seems almost like a silly little thing that came out of that day. The first VIP day we spent together was one of my brand values is excellence, and I looked at that and I said, wow, this was, a few years ago.
It was a few years ago, wasn't it? Wow, time flies.
I said, wow, I've been releasing the handouts for my workshops and for my online courses. I've been just doing them in Word, and I'm decent in Word, but I'm not a graphic artist. And I said, if my brand is excellence, then my stuff's got to look really, really good. And I found a graphic artist that could express the vision of the brand that you and I created together. So everything that comes out of my company now, people comment all the time. They're like, your videos are beautiful, your handouts are beautiful, your materials are great and top notch and excellent. It's like, yes, they're in accordance with the brand that you helped me discover.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So, what's interesting is because part of that journey that we went through is that Pamela's describing is even before touching logos or design and whatnot. And it's kind of like going deep, you said, right? And I think sometimes people feel like, well, maybe I should just go straight to creating a logo. But it's all of that deep work that we did, and that thinking is what I'm kind of recreating of what you just said, is really helps to inform and guide to have your team then go and design something and really bring in excellence, right, into everything that you do, all the different touch points that you portray.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't know why this image keeps coming up for me, but it does, so I'll share it. And that's correlating it to, say, going to a stylist who says, here's a red power suit, and you should this is a great look for you. You should wear a red power suit. And you're going, okay, I'm not sure I feel comfortable in a red power suit, as opposed to going to a coach or some kind of transformational worker who will say, who do you feel like inside? What's going to be the best expression of you? How are you going to walk out in the world and really feel awesome today? And that's a very different level of work, but what you're going to get at the end of that is really different than somebody handing you a red power suit.
Yeah, it's a good point, because it's got to fit with your own persona, as well as got to fit with how you want to be, because I talk about brand being a perception, right, in the marketplace.
Yes.
So it's got to be like, well, how do you want to be perceived? And maybe the red power suit, using your example, isn't really going to signal the kind of perception that you want. And certainly even just the self-perception, because if you're not connected with that kind of red power suit, for example, then energetically it's going to come off as you're not aligned with who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you look uncomfortable in your own skin, no one's going to want to do business with you.
Exactly. People can pick that up when they sense that you're uncomfortable in your own skin.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question, because it's actually a question that a lot of people come to me when they're thinking about going through a branding process, and maybe you might have a way of explaining the answer to this question to help people think about it. But a lot of people say, well, I think I should figure out who I am first before going through the branding process. Now, you just described kind of that going through, but a lot of people say, well, I think I should figure out who I am first before going through branding. What would be your response to that? Whatever that is, but what would be your response if someone's like, well, let me figure out who I am first?
It's, I have the same, people say the same thing to me about business. It's like, I got to get it all figured out before I get any business training or business coaching. It's like, if you're running a business, use your business as a vehicle for doing that. When you say, if someone says, I've got to get myself figured out first, it's like, well, if you need therapy, go into therapy. But if you're just trying to figure out who you are, let your business be an expression of that. I mean, I may very well rebrand in a few years. I know exactly who to come to because I'm always changing and evolving. We're always changing and evolving.
That's right.
And I think going through a really good deep branding process pulls the best out of you. It pulls the next chapter out of you. And then you step into that in business and in life. And it doesn't mean that that chapter is not going to change 5 years from now, but it's the best that you can be right now. And I don't see any reason to try to figure yourself out outside of your brand and your business, because they are a great vehicle for doing that with you.
Yeah, great point. Okay, great tip. All right, so I'm big on results and outcomes, right? So it's great we had an awesome time together. We got to go deep, and we got to explore a lot of these questions and answer some of these questions, but you and I are very similar in that it's like, okay, well, what is the outcome? What's the ROI, or what's the impact that this has? So kind of walk us through, I'll probably ask some follow-up questions, but let's just say you changed the look and feel of your brand and you went to market, right? Mm-hmm. How did that impact prospects or existing clients or partners, but however you want to take it? How did that impact your business?
Well, what I would say is, for me, the biggest impact feels to me like it's in my confidence level. And, I know that's not something we can necessarily put in the bank, and yet I've got no doubt that it's led to a lot of bank additions for me. Because when you are more confident, you book a lot more clients. And I know that often people who do what I did, kind of skyrocket to 7 figures very quickly, that there's a huge percentage of them that can't maintain it, that they fall back after the first year. And it was right after I broke the 7-figure mark that I worked with you, Ree, and changed the brand. And I feel like it's one of the things that allowed me to maintain there and stay at that level of success. And as I said, get my clients much more in alignment with who I wanted to serve and who I wanted to be. And then just the clients that come in, I recently brought someone into kind of my mid-level program, and after a couple of weeks, she upgraded to my very highest level program. And one of the things that she said was, from the very first moment that I interacted with you and your staff, everything was excellent. You guys were right on top of it, everything you did. And I'm like, that's my brand.
Yeah.
That's my brand. Yeah. And so to have her want to drop, $30,000 with me is an indication to me that I'm living into this beautiful brand that we created.
Yeah. And that's great. So could you say that it's made, again, you've built a 7-figure business prior to this branding process, right? And so sales, marketing, business, but would you say that the brand has then made it easier?
Sustainable and scalable.
Sustainable and scalable. That's great. Okay, good. Because you're right. It's like, yeah, you can start a business, you can make money, but I think what you're pointing to is when you're clear on the brand and you have that confidence in who you are and who you're not, it leads to, or it yields, a sustainable business and a scalable business. It's awesome.
Right. I mean, the thing is, I don't want to grow the business that I had in the year before we worked together. That, especially now, I'm so far removed from that now. But that was the old me, and I don't want to grow that. I don't want to share that. It doesn't inspire me to go out and get new clients and do new work. And this brand does.
That's awesome. And by the way, so we also went through a name change process.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of times people come up to me, oh, what should I go under as me.com, or should I go under this company name? Or, there's all these questions that kind of come up as they're thinking about rebranding or branding. Any tips or advice that you might want to share when thinking about, why did you decide to go with not your name, but with a company like Make Your Success Real? And it was, the name was changed even before that, but maybe walk through the name change, why we did it, and what does this new name mean for you and where you're taking the business.
Mhm. Well, my previous business name was Make Your Success Easy. And while I believe that I can help people make their success easier, what I found was that that brand name was attracting people who were like, "Ooh, you can help me make it easy. That's great." And it's like, no, no,
Right,
and you're
right.
not. I got a lot of lazy people. Didn't work very well. So we changed to real because there's so much. There's just so much juiciness in that in terms of authenticity. One of the things I hear over and over from people is,
Yeah.
"You're so authentic, Pamela," and that's a part of my brand.
Yeah.
And having people, a lot of my clients will come to me and say, I've run a successful business for 18 years and I just realized now that I'm actually in business. Thank you, Pamela, and
Right,
so that
right.
then they can double their income after they've been at a sustaining level for a decade. That's really unusual in business. And I feel like that's part of the real, part of the brand. So
Okay.
just that one little word change made all the difference. And why did I not want to go with my name? Because I feel like, there are some people who are personality brands and there are some people who are kind of mission and vision driven brands. And I feel like I'm one of the latter. And so it
Okay.
made sense to have a phrase instead of my name.
Sure. Well, it's great. That one little tweak, right? Because we went from make your success easy, which was sending out the wrong perception or the wrong message to people and then attracting people who wanted things easy, right? To making your success real. And I know that you kind of referred to like real and authenticity, but I think it was also even just making the tangible part of the real, right? I mean,
Right.
that
Right. Moving from a dreamer to a doer.
to a doer,
Yeah.
right? Good. Awesome. Any other things in terms of now you obviously have employees. Now, not everyone, there might be solopreneurs listening in on this, or there might be people who are just starting out, and there might be some people listening that it might be a bit more established. But is there any things that you could say on how it's impacted the culture, or even just, integrating your brand with your team and how that might have
Yeah.
impacted that experience?
Well, I've got a team. I've got an immediate team of about 10, and including employees and associate coaches and everything. And I feel like there is there's really a unified culture and a unified theme that people can rally around, and it gives them something to focus on. And I'm really happy about what they're focusing on. Not that I mind taking the limelight, as you know, Rian. I love being on stage, but I also really believe in the mission of my company. And
Sure.
so having that as a touch point for my entire team is just really great.
Okay. Going through the branding process, or who, well, yeah, that's really the question. Is there any tips or advice that when someone's thinking about it that you felt are top of mind, or you feel that's top of mind that
Um, don't sell yourself short. Don't get a surface treatment when what you really need is the deep treatment. And also be willing to go for a brand that feels kind of like a Cinderella brand for you.
Okay.
That it's almost like I deserve to step into that. Yes, you do. Do your mindset work to hand like a Cinderella dream for you.
Anything else? Was that good? Yeah, I mean, I love that. It's like don't sell yourself short, because you get what you pay for,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if what you're creating difference for people is kind of having a brand that you can put into action and work on today so that you feel that it's developing, but it's got to be something that is slightly bigger than you are today so that you have some room to grow and expand and step into.
Yeah, I think your brand needs to pull out the best in you, or it's not good enough for you.
Okay, good. Well, awesome. I mean, it's really good insights in terms of, obviously hearing your perspective. Thank you for kind of walking through that. This has been a few years since we worked together. And like I said, I love sharing all of my VIP clients with the people who follow our work, mainly because it's, I look at them as exemplars of people who, are leading the way and really, kind of obviously they connected with what we're doing and our vision for people and branding for the people, but they're also committed and driven to take their business to the next level. And I thought it was just useful to kind of get the behind the scenes from successful entrepreneurs and business owners. I mean, Pamela's a 7-figure business, 10 people on her team, and doing really great transformational work in the world. So hopefully that was helpful. Now, Pamela, that being said, I'm sure people, they might be listening in on the interview and they might want to learn a little bit more about you and your work. And, where would we send people to?
Please go visit makeyoursuccessreal.com, which
Okay.
is my lovely brand that I created with Ree. And there's a great gift for you up there. It's my 10 secrets to overcoming sales objections, and they're all from a heart-centered, authentic place. So I think you might enjoy reading about that. And again, it's makeyoursuccessreal.com.
Okay, good. So make your success real. We'll put that on the bottom of this video as well, this interview, so that you can also just click on it and go directly there. But definitely go check that out, because sales is so important in any business, whether you're a service-based entrepreneur or even if you have a brick and mortar business, but mastering the art in sales is critical. So that is an invaluable free resource that Pamela is providing for you. So I definitely encourage you to go check that out. That being said, obviously I don't want to take more of Pamela's time, but my intention was to create this for you so you can get some insights, and look forward to sharing our next interview on the next series. So that being said, thank you, Pamela, for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be in touch really soon.
Thanks, Ree.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you guys later.